Welcome back to my YouTube channel, and if you're a Middlesbrough fan, there's a very real chance that you might owe an apology to Middlesbrough's recruitment team. Just 5 weeks ago, Middlesbrough were sitting at the bottom of the Championship table with 2 points from 7 league games so far, sitting on our worst start for several years after a disappointing night against Sheffield Wednesday. That result was kind of rock bottom as far as Middlesbrough are concerned, with many questioning the recruits that had come into the club over the course of the summer. Kieran Scott is in charge of the recruitment operation at Middlesbrough, and over the course of the summer they had made a vast number of new signings to replace a number of outgoing stars who had led us to the cusp of playoff glory last season. Obviously we fell short against Coventry City, and as a result of that there was a need for a huge overhaul in the first team playing squad. First team players such as Ryan Giles, Cameron Archer, Aaron Ramsey, players like that. They were all absolutely key in Michael Carrick's team, the team that got us into the playoffs. Not to mention Chuba Akpom, who had scored all of those goals last season before leaving for Ajax, which meant that there was a huge task on the hands of the recruitment team to replace those players and make sure that we were in a good position for this season, but also for the seasons to come. Now, Middlesbrough brought in several players over the course of the summer, but during those first few weeks of the campaign, all of them, and I mean all of them, looked painfully short of the level of quality that we'd need to not just challenge in the Championship, but really be up there near the top end of the table, pushing for automatic promotion, or at the very least the playoffs, which was what fans expected after last season. Obviously, that night against Sheffield Wednesday was a real low for the club. It was a night where people were thinking that the new players that had been brought in just simply weren't good enough, with Michael Carrick even starting to resort back to the other players who were already at the club, a clear sign that the new signings just simply weren't performing and perhaps were surplus to requirements in terms of what he was looking for in his first team squad. But what we've seen in the weeks since has been absolutely remarkable. Middlesbrough are on a run of 7 victories in a row in all competitions. Still in the Carabao Cup. We're now 7th in the Championship table, just I think 2 points from 3rd in the division, and things are very much back on track. And a huge part of that has been the new signings and the way they've sort of stepped up to the plate over the last 5 weeks. I'm going to run through them one by one just so we can talk about them and shine a light on the qualities that they've brought into the squad. But before I do that, if you are enjoying what I'm doing on the channel, and if you've got any ideas of what you'd like me to discuss moving forward, then please do subscribe to the channel, like this video, and let me know in the comments what you think of Middlesbrough's new signings and whether you're one of those people who wrote them off early on in the season. I don't think I personally wrote them off. I was sceptical about some of them, particularly after that night at Hillsborough. It was an awful match. Any of the fans who were in attendance that night deserve a medal because it was a shocking performance. It was 23rd against 24th, and a night which was easily forgettable for many supporters. But yeah, as I said, in the weeks since, so many of these players have really kicked on and shown exactly what they're capable of. One of Middlesbrough's first new signings this summer was a goalkeeper by the name of Senny Dieng. He came into the club for a fee of £2 million from Queen's Park Rangers. QPR had been really struggling last season, with fans really saying that Dieng was not very good at all. He'd burst onto the scene there a couple of seasons previous to that, and it looked really good, but last season he'd fallen painfully short with the Hoops struggling massively. Middlesbrough made that £2 million investment to bring him to the club as the replacement for Zach Steffen. Steffen had been on loan from Man City the season before. He had very much been the trailblazer for Middlesbrough, I guess, in terms of having that ball-playing goalkeeper, that goalkeeper who pushes so far up the pitch that he makes fans anxious and rather sweaty watching him because it's that nerve-wracking to see. But Dieng has probably taken it one step further. He's come in and he is the natural successor to Steffen, in my opinion. A lot of fans would actually say that he's actually been better than him. In terms of his record between the sticks, he's conceded 18 goals in 13 matches so far this season, which isn't the greatest record on the whole, but in the last 6 matches where Middlesbrough's performances have been so much better, he's conceded just 4 times, which has been due to his own performances. He's been absolutely outstanding, but also the collective efforts of the team in front of him, who just seem to have really clicked. As a result of that, Dieng starting to look like one of the best goalkeepers in the Championship once again. A reputation that he did boast while he was at QPR in the early days, a couple of seasons back. And as far as Middlesbrough are concerned, he's proven to be an excellent signing. He did look a little bit short in the first few weeks of the season, but was that just due to a team that wasn't performing efficiently in front of him? You could say that Middlesbrough did look leaky in those first few weeks of the season. We were conceding a lot of goals. The team weren't pressing as effectively as what they should have been and what they were last season. And so for Dieng, he was left massively exposed at the back there, which led to quite a few goals going past him. But we have seen in the last few weeks that things have really kicked on. Things have improved, and Dieng has been a key part of that. He's really set the tempo from the back. He's been an assured presence with his passing ability from the back, and some of the balls that he's pinging out from the penalty area are just insane. Passes that you would not expect from a goalkeeper at Championship level. So he's been absolutely outstanding, and certainly one of the signings of the summer as far as Middlesbrough are concerned. Rav van den Berg arrived as one of the most highly rated young defenders in Europe. Middlesbrough beat off competition from clubs all over Europe, including the Premier League, to bring him to the Riverside Stadium, with first-team football likely to have been the main draw for a player who was very much wanting to kick on and make a name in his own right, as well as performing well in pre-season. He's done really well in the league as well. He's made 8 appearances for Middlesbrough, 7 of which have come in the starting 11. Now, most of those have come at right back. He was in place of Tommy Smith during the first few weeks of the season when Smith was injured. He played left back very briefly, I should say, against Sheffield Wednesday, but he is most comfortable at centre back. So there is a suggestion that the best is really yet to come from such a young player. But what we've kind of seen from him is he is just fearless at the back there. For a player who is so inexperienced, a player who is really just kind of making his name in senior football, he's just looked absolutely unflappable. He hasn't been perfect by any means, but what he's shown is a kind of level of courage to be able to play the way that Michael Carrick wants him to play, getting on the ball at the back, pushing forward at the right times, but also being comfortable and assured and making sure that he's not feeling the pressure of the press from the opposition. Now, Tommy Smith is injured. He's damaged his Achilles, and so he's going to be out for the rest of the season. There will be other people who are competing for that right back slot. But in my opinion, Van den Berg is going to be the main contender for that role, and the challenge for him will be making sure that not only does he perform in the short term, but that he can keep up that level of performance over the rest of the campaign. But certainly, as far as a new signing is concerned, he's shown great promise, and a player who looks like he's going to be someone who is capable of playing in the Premier League in the years to come. Hopefully that'll be with Middlesbrough, but for the time being, the main focus for him will just be getting those performances in, staying in the starting 11 for the rest of this campaign, and proving himself to be one of the best young players in England. Left back was the position that underwent major surgery for Middlesbrough over the course of the summer transfer window. Ryan Giles, who was one of the best left backs in the Championship last season, went back to parent club Wolves before joining Luton on a permanent basis, while Mark Bowler left Middlesbrough as well due to just having one year left on his contract. Middlesbrough decided to cash in on him, which meant that at the start of the season we only actually had Hayden Coulson as a senior option. Now, since then, Middlesbrough have brought in 2 new left backs to the club who are competing for that jersey. Alex Bangura came in at the back end of the transfer window. He's made 4 appearances for Middlesbrough. Only one of those has come in the starting 11, and that was the clash against Blackburn Rovers. But in that match, he did injure his hamstring, and since then it's been a bit of an uphill battle for him to get himself fully fit once again. We have seen in recent weeks that he's been making a few cameo appearances, so he's clearly on his way back. But it's kind of too early to judge him, I'd say, so it's quite difficult for me to say whether he's going to be a good signing or not. But based on the small amount that we have seen, he's absolutely lightning quick. He's a player who loves getting forward, and so he's someone that is going to be really exciting to watch, and someone who is undoubtedly going to get his chance over the course of the campaign. The other left back who I want to discuss is Lucas Engel, who has been a really interesting case for Middlesbrough, and probably epitomises the whole debate over Middlesbrough recruitment strategy. So he arrived at the club for a fee of $2 million over the summer. Highly rated, a player who was renowned for his attacking ability, but during those first few weeks of the season he just looked painfully short of quality, and most of all painfully short of confidence. He started, I think it was the first 5 games of the campaign, playing at left back, but kind of sitting very deep, not pushing forward whatsoever, looking really uncomfortable, and that was probably due to Middlesbrough's general lack of confidence at the time. We weren't playing well, we weren't pressing properly, we weren't winning games, which is ultimately what breeds confidence in players. For Engel, the night against Sheffield Wednesday was particularly painful. He got ripped apart time and time again in that first half, and a lot of supporters were writing him off, saying that he just simply wasn't good enough. But Michael Carrick did really well in terms of the man management side of things. Engel was left out the starting 11 for a couple of weeks. Lewis O'Brien slotted in there before he picked up his injury. But what's happened is in the weeks since, Engel has come back into the team, back into a winning team, I should say, as well, because Middlesbrough have been performing really well. And in the last 4 matches, he started each of them. Middlesbrough have obviously won in all of those games, and Engel has probably been one of the best performers on the pitch. We're starting to see exactly why he's so highly rated going forward. In my opinion, he's got a little bit of sort of George Friend about him. He's quite tall, he's quite powerful, he's got long strides, he's not lightning quick, but he is someone who is very capable of pushing forward, someone who can whip the ball into the box with real force, and so he's been someone who's been really exciting to watch. Now, obviously, it's very early in his time at Middlesbrough, but I think from what we've seen over the last few weeks is that he's someone who is capable of becoming a real fan's favourite, particularly after overcoming those first few weeks at the club, and so it's going to be very, very interesting to see how he kicks on. But yeah, he's certainly done brilliantly well, and he's been a real hit in my eyes, and probably one of Middlesbrough's best performers in the last few weeks. The attacking third was another area that required major surgery over the course of the summer. As I've mentioned before, Akpom, Cameron Archer and Aaron Ramsey all left the club, not to mention Alex Mowat, who was playing in central midfield as well. And that meant that there was a real lack of quality in that attacking third. For a side like Michael Carrick's, who liked to play on the front foot and create chances and score goals, there was a real need to bring in some quality, and so that's what Middlesbrough set out to do. Sam Silvera arrived at the club from the Central Coast Mariners, highly rated in Australia, but the challenge was to see how quickly he could adapt to life in the Championship. He's made 13 appearances for Middlesbrough so far. He started a lot of games early on, and fans were really excited by him due to his pace, his trickery, and his ability to get into the right areas for goal-scoring opportunities. Unfortunately, he couldn't really convert many of those opportunities, and he was guilty of missing some big chances early on, which, when Middlesbrough were chasing results, was a real big blow for him, because it was a chance to be a hero early on and get some confidence under his belt. In the weeks that have followed, he has dropped out of the starting 11 and the match day picture a little bit. He's been named on the bench a few times. He's found starts difficult to come by. But what we have seen in the last few games is a player who is very keen to make his mark. Since coming in, he's scored his first Championship goal the other day against Norwich City. It was a great strike, one that went straight into the bottom corner. It was a strike of real quality from outside of the penalty area, and it just felt like a real breakthrough moment for him. It was a moment where he kind of put the other critics to one side, it put his slow start to one side, and showed what he was really all about. Now, I'm not saying that he's going to be an automatic starter from this point on. I think he's certainly got work to do with regards to his all-round game, but he's certainly a player who's capable of making a big impact under Michael Carrick. I think the same can be said for Morgan Rogers as well, who he arrived from Manchester City on a free transfer. He started the campaign as a striker due to the lack of options that we had there. He also played as a number 10 in that sort of Tuba Rakpom type role that he carried out last season. But he didn't really look that convincing. He was pacey and he tried hard. Just maybe lacked the final bit of quality on the ball to really make it matter when he was picking up the ball in those positions. So since then he's dropped out of the starting 11. As many of the other new signings did, but he did score 2 goals and get an assist in the Carabao Cup during that time, which just showed that he certainly got the promise, and there was the sort of potential there to really kick on and show what he was capable of doing. Now, what we've seen from him in the last couple of weeks in the Championship is that not only is he going to be a good cup player, but he's someone who's very much going to be a real handful in terms of supplementing the first team. He came off the bench against Sunderland in that 4-0 victory and grabbed an assist in that game. And then against Birmingham City, a match that Middlesbrough dominated throughout but just struggled to get the breakthrough, he showed a real poacher's instinct to link up with Matt Crooks to get that goal late on, to secure a 1-0 win. Now, that was a massive moment for Rodgers. That was a moment where he really announced himself as a first-team player and someone who was capable of challenging for a starting spot and challenging to play a key role in Michael Carrick's plans. Similar to Silvera, is he ready to start a game? Is he ready to be a regular first choice starting 11 player? In my opinion, probably not yet. I think there's still some work to do on his all-round game, but similar to Silvera, the fact that he is now contributing to that first team shows that he is capable of making an impact, and he's someone that over the course of the campaign and over the years to come, given how young he is as well, he's certainly someone who could be a big player for Middlesbrough moving forward. And as a free transfer, there's little in the way of a gamble there as well. Silvera arrived for a minimal fee as well, so for Rodgers to come in on a free transfer, there's certainly potential there, and it'll be really exciting to see what he can do over the coming weeks and months, and hopefully for him to become a regular first team player at Middlesbrough. Sam Greenwood's another player who's made a massive impact in the attacking third since he came to the club. He arrived on loan from Leeds United over the course of the summer. He's been highly rated for a number of years. He started his career at Sunderland, then went to Arsenal, and then ended up at Leeds, where he was given his first team opportunities. He was playing regularly in the Premier League last season as part of the matchday squad, the team that got relegated. But this season, it looked like he was going to find match opportunities hard to come by under Daniel Farke at Elland Road. So they've allowed him to leave on loan. As part of that deal, there's a £1.5 million option for Middlesbrough to make it permanent. And based on the last few weeks, it looks really clear that that's going to be an absolute bargain should Middlesbrough choose to take it up. He was kind of in and out of the matchday squad in the first few weeks. I think that was down to a lack of fitness due to the lack of match action that he had at the start of the campaign. But in the last few weeks, he's really nailed down that starting spot for himself. He started the last 4 games for Middlesbrough, scoring 2 goals in that time. One of them was against Sunderland, his boyhood club, and then most recently he scored against Norwich City as well. Now he's been playing, he started playing in the number 10 role, that kind of Tuba Rakpon role, but due to the injury to Riley McGree, he's also been playing out on the other left flank, and I think that's just testament to the versatility that he's got. He is capable of playing at number 10. He's capable of playing on the left, as we've seen over the last few weeks. He's also capable of playing as a number 9 as well, which is going to be interesting as the season unfolds, because as the matches come thick and fast, and as we move into the winter and injuries and suspensions and that sort of thing start to take over, having players like him who can slot into multiple positions without really diminishing the quality of his play is going to be absolutely key for us. So yeah, I'm really excited by the signing of Sam Greenwood. The fact that he's a lone player, there is an element of risk, I guess, similar to last season, that he's someone who could go back to Leeds and then we lose him at the end of the season and need to replace him. But the fact that we've almost learnt from our mistakes last season, we've got an option in there for £1.5 million, which is very affordable, even if Middlesbrough don't get promoted this season. It just means that it's a really good piece of business, and the fact that he's performing almost immediately after joining is just really exciting, and he's someone who I really expect to do big things this season. It wouldn't be a surprise at all to see him get between 10 and 15 goals from those attacking areas, and for me, he's probably been one of the most exciting signings of the summer, and someone who can really kick on, and someone who I personally think has got a really high ceiling in terms of potential. The final player who I'm going to discuss is Emanuel Lath. He arrived from Atlanta over the course of the summer for a fee of £4 million, and he's been earmarked as the replacement for Tuba Rakpon and Cameron Archer, who left over the course of the summer. Since then, he's made 9 appearances for Middlesbrough, scoring 3 goals in the process, a tally which is pretty impressive considering he's only started 4 times in the league. But what we've seen is that he's struggled to get into that starting 11 because of the form of Josh Coburn. Now, Coburn certainly hasn't been prolific in front of goal. He certainly hasn't been in blistering form in terms of finding the back of the net, but what he has offered is a real all-round threat in attack. He's held up the ball well, he's linked up well with the players around him, and he's caused a real physical presence for the defenders as well. But Lath has come in. He's often come in off the bench, used his pace and his power to cause problems and give them something to think about in the dying stages of games. And I think that's something which is going to be really important over the course of the campaign. I don't think Coburn has got that starting spot nailed on completely just yet. I think Lath offers something completely different in terms of his pace, and I think the time will come where he'll get a run of opportunities in the starting 11 and the chance to show what he can do. I think in terms of his goal scoring ability, he's shown in that game against Cardiff City that he does have the composure to score when under pressure. The way that he took on that defender and dinked it over the goalkeeper was absolutely magnificent. And I do think that as he settles into life in England, he's going to be someone to really keep an eye on, because he's got all of the attributes to be a top striker at this level. And for a fee of £4 million, there's every chance that you could go on to be worth 4 times that, to be honest. He's someone who could really do really well for Middlesbrough and help us as we challenge for promotion. So that's my view on the other summer signings. I do think that all of them have really kicked on since the summer months, and I think with Middlesbrough now on a run of 7 victories in a row, I think all of them have played their part, and I personally am really excited to see what they're capable of in the other weeks to come. Drop into the comments below, let me know what you think of how they've got on, and if you have enjoyed this video, please do subscribe, and I will catch up with you next time.